In this video, we're going to finish out the right triangle congruence worksheet on the KutaSoftware website under the geometry section. I'll leave a link in the description below so you know how to access this free worksheet. For the second half, we're going to state what additional information is required in order to know that the triangles are congruent for the reason given. In number 11, the reason given is HL. This is also known as hypotenuse-leg. We're already given that the hypotenuse is congruent to the hypotenuse of the other triangle. So we need one leg congruent to a leg of the other triangle. So we can say that DE, this longer leg, is congruent to VW, and that will make HL the reason that these two triangles are congruent. Or we could say that FD is congruent to XV, because that's also a leg congruent to a leg. So for HL, we need the hypotenuse to be congruent to the other hypotenuse and one leg to be congruent to another leg. In number 12, our reasoning is leg-leg, and we're given that leg VW is congruent to leg AB, so we just need the other leg to be congruent. So CA is congruent to XV. So if segment CA is congruent to segment XV, then these two right triangles are congruent because of LL. And number 13, we're also given LL. Note that this leg KM is congruent to itself, so we already have that one leg of a triangle is congruent to the leg of another triangle. So now we need to locate the other leg and make sure that they're congruent. So HK and KL are the hypotenuse, so HM or MH is going to be congruent to the other leg ML. Leg, leg. So for leg, leg, and number 13, ML needs to be congruent to MH. In number 14, we have HA, which is hypotenuse-angle. We're already given that angle C is congruent to angle M, so our angle is taken care of. That means we just need the hypotenuses to be congruent. Our hypotenuse in this first triangle is MN, so MN is going to be congruent to our other hypotenuse in our second triangle, which is CD. MN is congruent to CD is the solution in number 14. In number 15, our reasoning is leg-angle. We already have that one leg is congruent to another leg. Here is our right angle, so we just need one acute angle to be congruent to another acute angle. Notice that side DI is the longer side and side DC is also the longer side, so this angle I is congruent to angle C. So angle C is congruent to angle I is one statement that will make the reasoning LA true, or we could say that the other angles are congruent. Angle B congruent to angle J. Angle C is congruent to angle I, or angle B is congruent to angle J. In number 16, our reasoning is HA, hypotenuse-angle. We're already given the angle that's congruent. Angle U is congruent to angle D. Here's our right angle. Our hypotenuse is directly opposite the right angle on each triangle. Therefore, segment DE needs to be congruent to segment UV in order for HA, hypotenuse-angle, to be our reasoning for congruence. So DE congruent to UV. In number 17, our reasoning is HL, hypotenuse-leg. We're already given that the legs are congruent. CD is congruent to HI, so we just need to say that the hypotenuse are congruent. So going across from our right angles, that's this segment here, segment DE, and this segment here, segment IJ. So the hypotenuse, segment DE, is congruent to the other hypotenuse, segment IJ. And the last problem on this worksheet, number 18. Leg angle, LA, is our reasoning. We know that this angle DEF is congruent to the angle TEV because they are vertical angles and vertical angles are congruent. So we have that the acute angle of one right triangle is congruent to the acute angle of another right triangle. So now we just need to say that one leg is congruent to the other leg. So we can say that leg FE is congruent to leg VE, or we could say that the other leg, DF, is congruent to TV. And that's our final solution on the right triangle congruence worksheet. As you finish writing this answer, click the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up on this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below.